Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dadsigner podcast. I'm Michael Smith, your host, and today I'm joined by Blake Barnes. Hey, Blake, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for sure. Why don't you tell folks a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and a bit about your family?
So my name is Blake Barnes. I am from a little town called Martin, Tennessee, which is like as north and as west in Tennessee as you can go. And I am 32, I think, and I'm married. Been married 7 years. My wife's an occupational therapist, and we have one little girl. She just turned one. Her name is Maddie.
Awesome. 1 year old. Is she walking yet?
Not quite. She's almost there. She's been like holding on to furniture and kind of scooting herself around. She can crawl so quick. Like, you turn your head for 1 second and she's already 20 feet from you. So, yeah, it's getting like that point where we got to keep her, we got to figure out a way to keep her contained into a space so that she can play without us having to, constantly keep eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, we have I always forget my girls are a little bit older. I always forget to how many things are interesting to kids, especially like, young kids or new kids that come into your space. You're like, "Oh, that thing just has sat there for forever and no one's really ever thought or paid any attention to that." But all of a sudden now, a young kid comes into your house and it's like the coolest thing ever. And you're like, "Oh, I guess I should have moved that."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's really into books. I mean, kids' books, of course, but like she can say a handful of words, and book is one of them, and she can point out a book anywhere. And she'll come to my office sometimes, and I've got a bookshelf like right over here, and she'll point at all kinds of stuff. And I mean, it's not anything that she would care about, right? Like it's like logo modernism and like a bunch of textbook looking things, but she'll sit and just turn the pages and stare at the words. It's really crazy, like how just intense she loves.
Yeah.
She loves to just look at pages and things.
Yeah. I love that phase. I'm a big reader. I love books, but like when my kids were interested in books, it was like, "All right, I'll sit here and read to you all day. If I don't have to chase you around the room." Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think the way that I became familiar with you and your work was through a series that you've done in the past and sporadically here and there is Mascot Monday.
Mm,
So tell me a little bit about how that started and tell folks a bit about, what you do.
yeah. So I do like full time. I work in marketing at a place called University Clinical Health in Memphis, and we're kind of like the practice portion of UT Health Science Center. And then part time would be like is called Barnes and Company, like my freelance sort of business, and it's what you're probably more familiar with. But the Mascot Monday was something that I've kind of always been active, I guess, on my design Instagram. Honestly, probably more than my own personal Instagram. I just am always on there. I follow a ton of designers and podcasters and people like that. And I started trying to be more active on Instagram. And so I guess right before we had our daughter, I guess maybe when my wife was pregnant, I started trying to post like a lot more just to see like, is there really something to if you post more frequently, do you gain more followers? Is it actually valuable? And I started trying to come up with like different content. I would do like, sketches or something else. And about like a month, I think I probably posted almost every day, every weekday for like a month straight. And I gained I mean, not a lot, but a decent amount of people, like a few hundred probably in that month. And I was running out of ideas to constantly come up with, like sharing my old work and stuff. And then I saw a podcast with this guy. His name was Daydon Leon. I don't know if you've ever seen him, but he literally only does these like really vintage kind of style mascot designs for people. And I really just like stared at his website and his Instagram page forever. And I was like, I want to try some of these. Like I've got to figure out a way to get mascot clients because I think that would be so fun to get because I do illustration work anyways. I already do like t-shirt graphics and things for people. I think that would be like something I could really push out. So, naturally, I was like, well, I'm getting these followers. I need some more content ideas, so I'm gonna let people comment, and if you comment on my video, you can get a free mascot. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your business is. Um, and I'll design it. I'll send it to them, and once it's posted, I give them all the files, and they can print it. They can get stickers. No cost to them. It's literally just a thank you. Because like I don't have a use for I don't have a use for like a coffee mug with eyes, right? Like I'm not gonna use that in my own personal stuff. So just give it to them for free. And it's been cool. It's been a really cool opportunity to meet like other people in other industries and connect with other designers. I've done several for other designers. I've done several for coffee shops and food trucks and restaurants and woodworkers and all kinds of stuff like that. So it's been real cool.
That is cool. And if you were to pick, I wouldn't say like who has been your favorite client, but like what have been some of your favorite mascot types to draw?
I like doing the ones for designers because they're kind of like they're one of those things where you think like I'm a designer, what would I design for another designer? And there's been a couple that I've done that I've really liked. I've almost been like, man, I want to keep that for myself. There was one I did for a guy, and I can't think of what his name was. He was I think I did his logo, and I it was like tangled up in like a keyboard cord and like a mouse cord, and I was like, this is man. If I really don't have time to make a new one, but I'm going to keep. I'm gonna give it to him, but I've got to keep this idea in mind because it's just fun. I don't know.
Was it Todd
So
White?
designers, say it again.
Was it Todd White?
Possibly.
He was on the podcast. Former guest on the podcast. Yeah. Big beard.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, it
Yeah.
probably was him then. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, what a cool guy. Yeah, and then like another question I have, since you spend a lot of time in the mascot space, there's been a big trend towards rubber hose arms and legs and hands and feet and all that kind of stuff. Do you have a take on that whole thing?
Yeah, so that's kind of where it all started at. I mean, the Don Leon guy, he was like he I'm assuming he took inspiration from that style of stuff, but I just kept seeing him post things and I was like, "Man, this is really cool." So, like I use that somewhat for inspiration. I mean, I love that big, I call them Mickey Mouse hands, like those huge gloved hands and stuff. And then something about like making like an inanimate object, like giving it like some sort of life is kind of fun. So, that's probably where it's came from. I don't know if it'll stick around, the rubber hose stuff. I feel like it's getting saturated, but we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's good for merch. People love it right now
Y-
anyways.
Totally. Yeah, and I think I uh it's weird. Trends are weird because
Mhm.
it's like just because it becomes a trend doesn't make it good or bad. But like when you catch the beginning of a trend and you're like, "Oh man, this is really cool," and then the trend blows up, it's always just like, "Oh man, I wish it didn't blow up quite as big because I still like this style, but now it's like everyone's doing it." And so then it like
Yeah.
takes some of that coolness away from it. But yeah, I was working on something fun just for fun over the weekend, and I looked over at this shape I had done that was like based on the logo, and I was like, "Oh, that could be a mascot." And then I was like, "Okay, how do I try to avoid the rubber hosiness, complete rubber hosiness, but still add features to a inanimate object?" And I mean, I don't know if I succeeded or failed, but it
I
just
think I saw it.
I
Did
think it
you
looked
post
cool.
it? You posted it on
Yeah,
Instagram, didn't
yeah,
you? Okay,
yeah. I
I think I
posted
saw it and it looked pretty good to me. I was like, that's it's a
it.
solid. It was
Yeah,
a tree, right? A
yeah. It
tree
was a pine
mascot?
tree. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I liked
yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean, it was fun, and it's it's not like again, that was for a fake brand. It wasn't for anything serious. So I was like, even if people give me crap about using this, it is what it is. But yeah, it's trends are funny. Um, but I enjoy the Mascot Monday. Another question I wanted to talk to you about, or another project I wanted to talk to you about, Union, uh, Union University.
Hmm. Yeah. So
That seemed like a pretty expansive project. Lots of touch points. Talk to us about that project.
yeah. So well, I mean, it wasn't like a freelance client there. That was like where I worked at before. I got I took this job at University Clinical Health, and Union was, I think, probably the turning point as far as confidence in my creative decision making. Maybe would be a
Mm,
good thing to say. So like, I came from a marketing job. Um, Weirdly enough, at the same place I'm at right now. I came from there. I got hired at Union University, which is about an hour north. We were living in Memphis at the time. I got hired here at Union University. So we moved an hour north to Jackson, Tennessee, and I worked there as like the director for creative services, which was pretty much like really long title for a creative director. Um, I kind of like oversaw the graphics, and what was really cool about it was the opportunity to, well, a couple things, but they had like budget to spend on, print products. Like they didn't just like print stuff on 100-pound cover stock. They got like special effects and stuff, and like where I had worked at prior to that, every place I had worked at didn't really, either it didn't have capabilities or didn't have budget to spend an extra, little bit on these massive print pieces that they were running. And so Union did. And what was cool about it was like it became more or less of like I always say, like, I don't know if it's on my website or not, but I always tell people when I talk to them, like, one of the things that I say is like I try to design with intention. And when I say that, like, that was kind of where it came from, was working at Union, just being able to think like this this high school student that's a senior, they're gonna get, 200 probably mailings at this point from different colleges trying to get them interested. And whenever I was a senior, I just threw all those in the trash. But like, what is something that I can do, or what's something that I can say, or some effect that you can apply to this piece that they're going to get in the mail that's going to make them at least think twice about throwing it away, or at least take a look at it to see, like, you know, maybe this is worth going to visit, or maybe this is a place worth looking at. And so that was kind of like, I mean, I started doing that and started thinking just in different perspective while I was working there. And then the other part of it was the team work aspect. I think that their team was, I mean, I've worked on teams, but their team was very close knit. And it was really cool to be able to see like every single person had a different role and they all did their roles really well. And then, especially like on projects like that, like the book projects where we would send them out to seniors, everyone's talents kind coming together and putting it into like one piece. There was photographers and writers and all kinds of people that worked on just one project. So that was kind of like the thing that really pushed me to, you know, say like, yeah, I'm comfortable being a creative director. I'm comfortable suggesting copy revisions or doing this or that, because like, it's when you put yourself in perspective of the people that you're working for or that you're trying to target, it makes a difference in
yeah,
the way that you think and the way that you design things.
yeah. It's interesting that you brought up the budget to do interesting materials, because as I was looking through your portfolio at that piece, I noticed a postcard that had like Union written in kind of like varsity script or varsity lettering, um, in like a travel postcard type look, and the photograph of it, I couldn't tell if it was the building in the background was printed on the card or if it truly was transparent and you could see through the card. So was that transparent inside the lettering?
Yeah, so that project actually we didn't I'm trying to think if we sent any of those out. I we did a lot of print ads for different magazines and things, and that one was something that I had drawn up, and I think maybe we were talking about using it as like a piece that we would send to accepted students or something. But that one I remember, like, I printed out a couple of them. I hand cut out the union letters, and then I had someone stand, like, in a certain spot on campus or around campus, and we would take pictures, and we used some of those for some of the ad stuff that we did. So I don't know if those ever got sent out, but that was, like, you know, another just kind of way to get creative with the same stuff, right? Like we've shared hundreds of pictures of the campus, and how do you do it a little bit different than
Yeah,
before?
yeah. I mean, it's such a good example of like, a lot of people say there's nothing new, everything's been done before, all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. And you took, I think that's a good example of like taking multiple ideas and mashing them up and turning them into something new that like makes it feel fresh or takes a recognizable thing and puts a new spin on it. That was cool.
Yeah, thanks. I
Did
appreciate
you
it.
put a
Yeah, we
did you
I
like put a translucent paper on the back or is it just straight through you're seeing?
just straight through. They had some really really solid cameras there. And I don't know. I just had I don't know if the photographer took that or if I did. Yeah, they were quality, like more than I would buy myself anyways. It turned out well.
That's cool. And then, yeah, I guess the other side of your freelance is you do illustration work, you do logo work. What's a logo that you've done that you're really proud of?
So there's been several that I've done that I've really liked, or clients that I've worked for that I really liked. One of them I could think of, and I think it, I'm partial to it probably just because I've seen it like in person. A lot of the people that I work with, they're just like all over the place. Um, but in Memphis, there's a like a this couple, and they are in with another family, and they own like it's like a steakhouse, and then right next door is a coffee shop, and so they own, like, both of those things, and I've done the brand work for both. One of them a few years ago, and then the coffee shop they just got, like, last year, and they really have, like, a it's cool to just go there and see, like, what they've done with everything because, like, I can mock up stuff on signs or put it on a building, but seeing it in person is, like, a totally different story. So they've got, like, stuff out by the street. And then I did their menus as well. And so like going there and holding it in your hand, and then they've got like the big wall like 3D standoff signs and stuff of the logo and everything. And it's like on a bunch of merch in there. So I don't know, it's pretty cool. I think like that probably would be more I would say like I like that one those cons the most just because I've seen them in person. I don't always get to see them in person, but
Yeah. And is the work you do today at your full-time role, is it a lot of digital stuff or is it a lot more physical printed materials?
at my full-time job, it is a lot. I would say like it's probably a mix of both. So I do a lot of materials like print materials that we distribute across the clinics and to different patients and things like that. But we also do a lot of like communications internally and externally too. So there's probably like maybe it's probably 50-50 on print and digital assets.
Nice. Yeah. That's cool. Your daughter, you were saying, is about a year old. How has your work and your focus changed in that year?
Yeah, so I'm like a I'm like a workaholic, I think, and having after we had Maddie, I had like I'm still even figuring out a year later, right? 'Cause it's just like different aspects of life, and she's starting to be more active before she like kind of slept all the time a few months like after she was born, and so I've just gotta be I'm trying to figure out like that balance of work and life because like before you always think like, what do you do after you get off work? Usually people have hobbies, right? Like they go and play pickleball or whatever, spend time outside. And like my hobby was always like drawing pictures. And so like I would be doing it anyways. So like now I've just got to figure out when's the best time to be doing that. And so I think that's probably how it's changed the most is just like figuring out that balance between the two. But yeah, it's been good. She's interested in graphics and things, and so, like, I can't get a lot of work done if she's, like, sitting in my office with me, but it is cool to see her just, like, look at stuff and interact with it, so, I don't know.
Yeah.
Might get easier at some point.
Yeah, it'll get harder before it gets easier, but,
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
feel like that's part do you think and it's not like a negative thing, but do you think she's part of the reason Mascot Monday is a little bit harder to get done?
Yeah, definitely, I think so. I mean, like, I pick her up at school. I guess that's, like, one of the perks, I get to pick her up at school and take her to school, but, my time that I did Mascot Monday was right around the time that just right at the end of the day, so like 5 or so in the afternoon. And now that 5 o'clock window has been taken up by dirty diapers or like a nap time that she might have fallen asleep in my lap. And so I can't really get up or she's going to wake up. So that's kind of,
Yeah.
yep.
And so you mentioned earlier that she's into books. Does she have a favorite kids book right now?
Yeah. So I think yeah. My wife laughs at me because, I bought these, but there is a guy that I follow on Instagram, his name's Kyle Sullivan, he's an illustrator, and he has, like, this I see him posting all the time these little kid books that he's done, and they're all about cryptids, so, like,
Oh, yeah.
Bigfoot and Mothman, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, well, I know cryptids, but I as an adult like cryptids.
Yeah, yeah. So they have like these series of like those little like lift the flap books, and they're like baby. It's like baby cryptids. So there's like Bigfoot baby, Mothman baby, and uh vampire baby, like stuff like that. And dude, I don't know why, but she has been obsessed with vampire baby for some reason. It's like 10 pages long maybe, and I've probably read it at least just myself, not counting how many times my wife's had to read it to her. Probably like 200 times. It's just
Yeah,
it's wild, but yeah, she loves that book for some reason.
that's funny. And is do you, I mean, at this point, you're probably ready for it to go away, but is that are those set of books your favorite kids books too?
Yeah, I mean, I like them. They're pretty good. They all rhyme and they're very like they're short and they always end with like the baby going to bed. And so that's kind of like a good bedtime book. It's like, okay, you're gonna go to bed just like the vampire baby or just like Bigfoot baby. So-
Yeah. Those were always like the moderate length, so not super long books that rhymed and ended on like a good note were always my favorites. To just
Mhm.
like, all right, we're done. It's time for bed. Um, but yeah. Um,
I have a hard time now reading the ones that don't rhyme because, like, I want them to rhyme so bad. There's another one, I can't even think what it's about a rabbit or something she likes in there, and it's like an older book, but it doesn't rhyme at all. And I keep reading it. I'm like, this book doesn't make any sense. Like, it's just there's no really story or anything. It's just like about a rabbit, like doing rabbit stuff. So,
yeah. Yeah. Some of those like classic kids books that have made it generations. I'm like, how did this become like a category defining book? Like didn't have better ones back then. Anyway, um, yeah, that's funny. Well, I did want to ask you two more questions before we head out, and that first one is: as a dad, what has been your greatest joy?
I think it would probably be just like, just seeing our daughter grow up. I mean, she's only 1 right now. She just turned 1, but it's cool just seeing how every single day her interests change, the things that she likes to eat or, hold or carry around it changes, and the things that likes to watch or do also changes. Like, I mean, books has been like a pretty consistent thing, but she's always changing in the toys that she wants to play with or whatever, those kinds of things. So just seeing her like do that and interact is just it's really cool. Like a really cool opportunity to just like, you know, just witness like that learning aspect and that learning stage. Cause I guess at this age, like even though you don't really think much of it, like if you're around a 1 year old all the time, you realize like she's really soaking in so much stuff. Like every day she's saying a new word or she's like trying to do something else or she's like copying something that you're doing. And so it's just I don't know, it's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that is cool. And then also, the other question is, as a dad, what has been your biggest learning?
Um I think it would probably be like, like I mentioned, just a work life balance kind of thing. I always was at night and especially, after my wife got home and we would eat supper, we would sit and watch TV and I would kind of just like work and watch, and ever since we've had Maddie, I've been kind of like instead of working and watching, I'm kind of like sitting and playing and watching and reading and multitasking and stuff like that. So I think that's probably just figuring out, when's a good time to work, when's not a good time to work. How can and also you get really creative and entertaining. So it's been another thing, but I would definitely say work life balance probably.
Yeah. Yeah, that entertaining piece is a is a good one because I feel like I get bored far quicker than, like, they do when we're playing a game or playing pretend or something like that, and so figuring out either 1, how to stay in that mode, like they are, or 2, like, "Alright, how do we switch this up a little bit to, like, make it a little bit more interesting?" Is another big thing. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, cool. I appreciate you for coming on and sharing. If folks wanted to follow you online, see your work, reach out, where can they go to do that?
So my website is barnesandco.co. No M on the co at the end. And then I've also got I'm pretty active on Instagram, so that's Barnes and Co. one.
I will link that stuff in the show notes, and if you're watching the video, I'll put it up on the screen. But yeah, I appreciate you for coming on. Thanks for sharing. And looking forward to seeing more Mascot Mondays in the weeks to come.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. Appreciate it, man. Have a good week.